What we saw is a lot of troops marching up and down, but we only saw one tank, an antique tank, which usually appears at these parades anyway, but no other armoured cars, no series of tanks, no flybys by warplanes, and certainly no big missiles on display. And the reality is all that kit is being used at the moment for Putin's war in Ukraine, so you had less of it to put on display in Moscow today. And of course there were other parades that were cancelled in other parts of Russia, really to kind of collate what he had to put on display in the Red Square this morning. So what we saw is a really slimmed down display in terms of the machinery that was there. Certainly we saw the usual troops marching by and so on. A lot of patriotic comments from the Russian president in his short address at the start. But if anything, what it highlights is the toll that this war has taken on Russia's military establishment.
So what are your main key takeaways, Ross, from Putin's comments? I mean, he says it's not Russia's fault, and that's basically to rally support from his people.
Well, that's right, and that's the narrative he's been adopting for a while now, which is that Russia is fundamentally under attack from the West, and therefore this war is about that. It's really a change in narrative from the early days of the conflict when he was talking about reclaiming territory that he said was fundamentally Russian. So now he's casting it very much for a domestic audience, that Russia is under siege from the West. This is about NATO, this is about the US, this is about all these countries who are really seeking to contain Russia and push it back. And that's really, really aimed at the domestic audience inside Russia. Of course, you know, more than a year into his war, he's still on the back foot on the ground in Ukraine. No great signs of tangible progress there. So he really needs to rally the Russian people by saying, you know, you have to join forces with me here because it's us against the rest of the world. And that really is a repeat of the narrative we've seen of late from him.